While we are tracking this week, the eyes of the world will be on Miami as former President Donald Trump will appear in federal court. Now, he is facing 37 criminal charges. The Justice Department is accusing him of mishandling classified documents, but that certainly didn't stop him from hitting the campaign trail. Trump first made his first public appearances yesterday since his indictment at GOP conventions in Georgia and North Carolina. Correspondent Robert Sherman was there. He's joining us live now from Miami. And Robert, at this point, Trump has all intentions to stay in the race, even if he's convicted.
That's what he said last night, Natasha, and he says that he's sticking with his guns, believing that this indictment is politically motivated. So he says whether he's convicted or not, indictment or not, he's not going anywhere.
The ridiculous and baseless indictment of me by the Biden administration's weaponized Department of Injustice will go down as among the most horrific abuses of power.
On his last day of campaigning before his Tuesday court date, former President Trump took aim at the Department of Justice. On the trail in between events, the former president stopped off at a Waffle House and told supporters he's an innocent man.
The whole thing is a witch hunt. It's a disgrace.
The 45th president is facing 37 federal counts after an indictment was handed down by a grand jury in Florida Thursday, contending, among other things, that, quote, Trump without authorization retained at the Mar-a-Lago club documents relating to the national defense, and he and an associate, quote, concealed and covered up from the FBI Trump's continued possession of documents with classified markings at the Mar-a-Lago club. The FBI's raid on Mar-a-Lago last year led to the recovery of 102 classified documents. The indictment states documents were recovered from the 45th president's office and a storage room, but that classified documents were intermittently kept in other places, such as a bathroom and a ballroom stage. A list of some of the documents recovered include military and nuclear capabilities of foreign countries, correspondence with foreign leaders, U.S. military contingency plans, and information regarding U.S. nuclear weapons.
If even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment. And it's very, very damning.
Former Attorney General William Barr, who served under the 45th president, making headlines today for opining that his old boss is in the wrong.
And this idea of presenting Trump as a victim here, a victim of a witch hunt, is ridiculous. Yes, he's been a victim in the past, but this is much different. He's not a victim here. He was totally wrong. That he had the right to have those documents. Those documents are among the most sensitive secrets that the country has.
If convicted of all 37 counts, the 45th president would face a maximum penalty of 400 years in prison.
As far as the joke of an indictment, it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing for this country. I mean, the only good thing about it is it's driven my poll numbers way up.
Former president does own a big lead over Republican rivals across the country and has been trying to turn the indictment around and use it to his advantage, firing off campaign emails to try and raise support.
So the former president will be in this courthouse behind us on Tuesday for that arraignment process. And from there, he's expected to go back to Bedminster, New Jersey, where he'll be having an event that was initially scheduled to be a birthday celebration for his 77th birthday, which is coming up on Tuesday. Now he's expected to give public remarks, and we're all expecting him to come out swinging, Natasha.
Yeah, not the birthday I know he initially expected. Robert Sherman live for us in Miami. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.